Hi, everyone. It's been a heck of a week. Davos was pretty interesting. Trump basically put the world on notice. So, at any rate, you guys, if you follow me, you know I'm not a newscaster. I'm not going to jump deep into those details. I like to wait. I like to let see the dust settle, and then I like to come back and put a spin on it after I see where we're going. But I am going to talk about a little bit of it, and we're going to go into basically one aspect of what Trump said. We're going to talk about the peace board just a little bit. So let's get into this presentation. It's going to be very high level, just so you understand. Let's go to the first slide. So here's what I want to do to clarify. We just hit a tipping point. We hit a loghead, if you will, between the global financial elite and the movement away from it to a decentralized government. So what's happening as this slide shows that ever since World War II, we've had a movement towards globalization, and that movement is basically being opposed adamantly by Donald J. Trump. So what we've had, if we go all the way back, that first picture you see on the left is a depiction of what the British Empire looked during the colonial period. It was the nation upon which the sun never set. Well, we're now in a major transition. So they transferred power from the colonial empire to America at one point because they needed America with its military clout. But then under the Carter administration, they started to put pressure to take the trade away from the United States of America and give it to China, which meant leadership. But now what's happened is we're coming into the end times, into the book of Revelation, and they're trying to take control away from China as well because they're making their move for their global one world government. And so everything is changing. And Donald Trump is standing up against that. And he's saying, no, that's not the direction we're going to go, because global one world government means a global dictatorship. And that's not what the world wants. So let's go to the next slide, and we're going to break this down very quickly. And we're going to see what's happening. So I have to say that this slide is basically telling us that the kingdoms of man have to fall. Communism has to fall. Capitalism has to fall. And so we're basically going through this metamorphosis that's creating 180 degrees counter-opposed opposition forces. And it's communism versus what? Capitalism, but not the kind of capitalism that we think of. Capitalism itself has to die. And out of this, we're going to birth a completely new type of economic system. It's an economic system that's going to be based on conserving resources, upon nurturing the planet, upon creating products that last forever so that we stop this wasteful consumption that we have. And that wasteful consumption, if you looked at what we did earlier in the week, is leading to what you see over here. It's leading to the sinkholes, to the earthquakes, to the floods, to the imbalance that we've created within the planet. We are going to have to go to a completely new economic system. And that's sort of when Trump comes in with this board of peace, because it's a 180-degree choice. Either you're with the communists, you're with the global elite, we're with the forces of evil, or you're basically with the kingdom of God and with the new economic system that God wants to usher in. Let's go on down. We're not going to have a whole lot of slides here, but let's go down to the next slide. And here's kind of where things are forming. So let's go back to that first picture in your mind that you saw. And what we have that we had the global financial elite emanating out of the empires of Europe as the feudal aristocracies. And who was at the head of it? England. And who to this very day does Canada sit under? England. We got away from England. We fought a war to get our freedom. Canada never did. Canada is still controlled by the British Empire. And they've just made a move that tells you who they really are. They've just joined up with China, with the CCP, with the oppressive UN, And I want to touch a little bit about what the UN is all about. So if we go back to the 18th century, they tried their first effort to get a global governance entity, and it failed. And then after World War II, they attempted again. That was the League of Nations. I mean, after World War One, sorry. Then after World War II, they were finally successful, and they got the UN. But the UN isn't a peace organization. The UN is an organization that wants control. They want control over trade. They want control over your health. They want control over the military that they can send in wherever they want to get whatever they want. So it is not a peacekeeping organization. It is a war generating organization. And Donald Trump has just put them on notice. And he's basically said, I'm going to create a board of peace that's going to be diametrically opposed to the war machine of the UN. Now, he invited 50 nations to join, and it's going to be very interesting to see who joins. And I believe I didn't spend a lot of time on this particular aspect, but bottom line, I think, is he withdrew the invitation to China because of what they're doing here. China, I mean, not to China, to Canada. Canada is I believe, cast its lot, and I believe they're going to basically force the western portion of Canada to secede from Canada, and they're going to come to the United States of America because the people want to have freedom. They don't want to be under communism. Let's go on down to the next slide, and we'll break it down a little bit deeper for you. This is what the head of Canada is embracing. Carney is saying, I'm willing, in order to get a few dollars from China, in order to get some technology from China, in order to get some cover from China, to put the people of Canada under a central bank digital currency system. And by the way, the really big tell there is that within London is the City of London, which is the headquarters for the global financial elite. It resides there and in the Vatican and in Washington, D.C. They have announced a new super consulate that is right on the grounds for the City of London and is apparently, from everything I've been able to gather, tapped into their intelligence network so that they're linking themselves to China. The people of Canada are not going to want to tolerate that. They're not going to want to be under a central bank digital currency, which is effectively the B system. That means that everything China is under will eventually come to Canada. There'll be facial recognition. There'll be a central bank digital currency that can control what you can buy and what you can't buy, that will take your paycheck. If you don't spend it by the end of the month, it'll take it. It's a total, complete slavery system. And that's what our borders to the north have basically embraced under Carney. And I do not believe, for one, that the people of Canada, which their heart is more aligned with the United States, are going to tolerate that. Let's go on down to the next slide. And the option is clear. This goes right along with Trump's peace board. Trump is offering something that is diametrically opposed to the UN, which is a globalist organization that wants to what? End all borders, end all sovereignty, and create a worldwide slavery system, a beast system, if you will. Trump is offering the people of Canada and the world an option to the UN, and it's crucially important. And it's based upon a new economic system where capitalism collapses and is reborn in a new vein where we make products that are designed to last forever, to conserve resources, to allow us to be the stewards for the planet, and to give people the opportunity to have a government that is of the people, by the people, for the people. So the proposal that Trump is making is for a decentralized government, or a government that allows privacy, that runs on blockchain, that exposes election fraud, that exposes money laundering, that gives the people basically what we wanted when we founded this nation, a nation that was not a democracy, that was not communism, but was an experimental form of government called a republic, a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And as we've discussed in the past, it has certain requirements to be able to be maintained. As Franklin left the Congress that was forming our republic, he was asked by a lady, "Sir, what form of government have you given us?" And his response seemed a little strange. "A republic, ma'am, if you can keep it." Well, why did he respond in that fashion? Because a republic means that it's truly the people that are running the government, and they have certain responsibilities. They have to be informed. So that means you have to have an honest Well, in this case, it wasn't a news outlet, but there were newspapers, but there were pamphleteers. We had to know the truth. We had to be educated. We had to be informed. We had to read the Bible. We had to have morality. We had to be willing to go and vote for what was in, this is the important part, the best interest of the nation. And we had to understand that if we defaulted to voting for someone because they were going to give us handouts, it's just like our forefathers said, the minute the public understands that they can cast a vote in order to get handouts, it is just a matter of time until the government goes into unmanageable debt and collapses. That's what we have to get out from under. That's what Trump is fighting for. That's what this slide that you see is going to give us. It's going to give us freedom. And we've got technology now that we didn't have before with Doge. We can find out where all that waste and all that fraud is, and we're going to expose the election frauds. And that's why Venezuela was so pivotally important. And when that happens, we're going to collapse the financial system completely, take away, he who controls the money controls the world, take away the control of the money. And with that, we're going to expose all the election fraud. We're going to have massive collapses. We're going to have all the swamp will be drained. Politicians will be running from the ship like rats, fleeing from a sinking ship. The banks are going to come down with what's happening with the silver squeeze, etc. And the corporations are going to be exposed. And we're going to birth a rebirth of what America was founded to be in the first place. It was founded to be a nation where people could have freedom, could have a real voice in the government. That's what Trump is fighting for, folks. That's what his peace board is all about. And it's going to be interesting to see. This is going to really tell us what countries are really pushing for freedom and what countries want to see World War III. So the future is emerging right before us right now. Let's go on down. We're going to make this quick. We're almost done. So here's what you get. If you go with Trump and you go with his peace board, you get peace and prosperity. Let's go to the next slide and we'll break it down. I've used this over and over, and I'm probably going to keep using it because it's the essence of what we're fighting for. We want sovereign currency. We want sovereign borders. What does the UN want? They don't want sovereign currencies. They certainly don't want sovereign borders. The Council on Foreign Relations is on record saying that they want to have a one world government. They don't want honest elections because they want to put their people in to control us. They don't want resource independence. They don't want any of these things that create peace and prosperity. They want to remove regulatory obstructions. I'm sorry, this is what Trump wants here, to remove regulatory obstructions, to rebuild America. What made us great was that we were the manufacturing capital of the world for a long time, and we're going to get that back. And he wants equitable trade agreements, global financial parity. And it was Eisenhower who said, boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, the cause of war is inequity between nations. And he's pushing to see to it that all nations have parity. So you can look at, so just like we've been talking about for weeks, you can look at a financial reset coming, and we're going to get back control of our First and Second Right Amendments, and all of the control of all the spheres of influence is going to go away when we take away the control of the money, because that means they won't be able to buy power. The media is going to be exposed. We're going to get honest broadcasting again, but we have to stand against the United Nations because it is evil to the core. It is globalism, which is nothing more than dictatorship. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Trump's peace board. It started focused on just the Middle East and on Gaza, and it's expanding now to basically give us an option for something that could really, truly bring the world into peace. But that's not what the UN wants. That's not what most of the nations in Europe want. They want World War III. That's their control mechanism. That's how they crush what Trump is doing. So with that, one more slide, and then we're just about done. So this is where we started earlier in the week, and I want to close here because it's going to get tumultuous. It's going to get scary, but we need to basically be calm and calm through the storm. And we need to be the light in the darkness. And we need to understand that everything that can shake will be shaken, not just nations, not just banks, not just corporations, not just the government. Everything is going to collapse. And what we're seeing geological events, the likes of which we've never seen. The Bible says it's not an earthquake or a volcano that we're looking for when we look at the Bible, and it tells us these are the times, these are the signs of the times. It's when everything is crazy, when we've got solar flares, when we've got volcanoes, when we've got eruptions, when we've got floods, when we've got snowstorms, when the entirety of the ecological system of the planet seems to be going amok. And I'm telling you, if we continue to go down the road that the globalists want us to go down with their absurd Green New Deal, we're going to be just killing this planet. So another thing that Trump came out for when he spoke in Davos is to expose the green scam and how it's killing marine life, it's killing birds. It's absolutely grossly financially ridiculous. So these are the things that I think I got from Trump from his Davos. The two most important things for me was he's actually going to be giving us an opportunity with the peace board that gives us an opportunity, basically an alternative to the globalist evil empire that's controlled under the UN. So think about what's under the UN. It's the UN that has the health organization that locked us down and wanted to have even more control. It's the UN that controls trade. It's the UN that basically controls the World Bank, that basically allows the control of all the spheres of influence. So we had two very important things happen this week. We had an alternative to the UN, and we have an alternative to the green scam. We have an opportunity to become stewards of this planet, because what I'm going to tell you is all these changes, earth changes that you're seeing, they're caused by us. They're caused by us abusing this planet. So please stop and think about these two things. That's the most important part of what I think he talked about at Davos. But boy, did he put them on notice. I'm telling you, I was so proud of him. So at any rate, let's go on. I just want to go to one more slide. I want to tell you about my new book that's coming out, and then I want to wish you a very, very pleasant, happy weekend. I hope you're not in this storm zone like we are. They're saying here in the Midwest we might get 12 to 18 inches. Ouch. Well, anyway, coming soon. I'm having a conversation with my publisher later today. We'll finalize a lot of things at that point, but tentatively we're going to release the book for pre-sale. I just thought it was very appropriate. We're going to do it on Valentine's Day. And then unless she has some delays that are coming my way that I don't know about, we're tentatively going to release the book for sale on the 6th of March. So please follow us. Please subscribe. We're gonna be going through some of the most important things the world has ever seen. And my mission is now on full bore. Basically, God said that I would wait in the wings. He'd keep me in the cleft of the rock until the collapse started to come. So I see that basically my technical person has put up a graphic at the bottom that's saying help us. So let me just kind of tell you, I think a lot of people think I'm wealthy. I was at one time, but I lost everything I had in '08. And now I probably basically just exist on Social Security, but I was able to have enough that left over after my collapse that I was able to buy a house and a car and pay cash. But I'm now beginning to get invitations to go. I just got an invitation to go to Vegas. I just got an invitation to go to Florida. And I don't have the kind of extra income coming in that allows me to accept those invitations. So if any of you are out there and you really appreciate what I do, you think it really helps you, I'm not going to ask for people to tithe. I'm not ever going to go out and say, well, I'll give you special information if you send me a subscription fee. No, we're not doing that. I'm not selling information. I'm not hawking things. I'm just trying to do what God wants me to do. But if any of you feel that you want to send a small donation, it would be appreciated, because I'm putting together money so that I can accept those two invitations. So at any rate, the book is coming out soon, and it's just to give you an idea, it's all ordained by God. The first book was to give you the foundation. What is it that made America great, and how did we really lose it? And this book, not ironically, it's exactly God's timing. Liberty Crusade, Restored Republic. That's what we're in the midst of right now. That's what this book is giving you, the blueprint for restoring this republic, the blueprint from getting out from under the UN, the blueprint for getting out of control of a global demonic entity, the blueprint for getting back what God ordained America to do in the first place, to have a group of people who submitted to God, a group of people who were interested in what was best for everyone. That's why we were called the United States of America. That's why we were called one nation under God. And they have done everything they can to divide us. And now, thanks to the leadership of Donald Trump, we're finally getting our eyes open and we're standing as one nation under God. So with that, everybody, I hope you have a very, very wonderful weekend. And I hope that this storm isn't what they say it's going to be. Anyway, what to look forward to next week. I think I'm going to dip into another one of the topics that Trump discussed at Davos, and that is he's going to announce an executive order on housing. So here's what I'm going to do. The man is hamstrung in a degree because he can only do what the laws allow him to do. And those laws are corrupt. So when I do that show, I'm going to start on it this week. I'm going to take a totally different perspective. I'm going to say, I'm talking about this as if we've already had a reversal, as if the Washington has fallen, all the corrupt politicians are gone. We're out from under all the laws that were designed to create a legal dictatorship. And I'm going to show you how simple it is to have peace and prosperity, to actually really own a home. Right now, there's not an American in this country that owns a home. We are basically paying rent every month to our landlord, the federal government of the United States. So I have the advantage of not being in the position that Trump is. And I'm just going to give you some simple solutions that I hope you'll get behind and fight for, so that the millennials and the Generation Zs can actually buy a house, so they can get out from under the absolute burden that they're put under with the school systems, with the student loan. We're going to go to God's solutions. We're not going to be hamstrung by the solutions that are inflicted on us by a global financial system that wants us to remain in slavery. So with that, God bless you all. We'll see you next week.